Yes.
Well, we actually didn't have any expectations because normally as lawyers we don't get involved in the design of the IT. We mainly work with our policy colleagues, so this was something a bit different. But we heard about this new project, the digital service at Victoria Street, so we thought we'd better go down there and see what was going on. And it was sort of quite an eye-opener, really. It was just a different world. There were walls covered with post-it notes, and flow charts with tiny writing, and people
sitting on the floor.
People sitting on the floor, and
it all felt very different.
And groups of people with the laptops, all sort of forming little groups. It was very hard to see how we could fit into that environment. So that was the first challenge, really, is to see where we could fit in and add value.
And it was, previously we hadn't really had any experience. As Bridget said, it was not usual for lawyers necessarily, or it wasn't usual, perhaps I should say. I think in the future things are changing. But at that time it certainly was an unusual experience. And while we've always worked with operational colleagues, actually working with digital services, working with in the agile way was completely new to us. And I suppose our expectations were we really didn't know what to expect.
No.
Did we? And that was something that we had to feel our way and learn our way as we were going along. Yeah. And I think it's also the sort of point about the user needs as well, in that actually you really got a good understanding from having that whole team there of what it is that they were setting out to accomplish, which again was something quite novel for us, because as lawyers we sometimes get written instructions and then we draft something. That is actually, this is a completely different way of working, much more iterative. And while we've always been used to toing and froing and discussing, the actual iterative process being so visible is quite different for us, and it's quite a challenge. But we were prepared to go out there and meet it. You don't want to be sticklers for sort of pernickety lawyers, but it's important that we do actually work within that prism of the statutory scheme.
And I think that a problem with you have these meetings, these sessions, and you think everyone's gone away with the same understanding, but because you don't have a written record, you can never be 100% sure.
And I think the point there about the trust is that actually there's a lot of relationships to build as well, and actually being part of that team and knowing that you can come back to an issue, that this is not it's not over, that this is an agile way of working, and you can come back to things if you think there are problems.
And actually really sort of important point about the iterative process and sort of understanding everyone else's role and the user needs is that sometimes it made us reflect on the way the law had been drafted.
So, there's also something quite interesting around spotting the legal issue, which is something that Bridget and I have talked about quite a lot, is that making sure that actually the legal issues are visible to the team. So some are easy to spot, like you can see that data protection might be a legal issue, you can see that how you sign a claim form might be sort of wet signatures, as we called it. That was a big issue. But actually there are often other issues under the surface, and making sure that those were adequately surfaced was a challenge for us.
I think
as well.
The thing that people don't always realise is because we work so closely on the regulations, we actually have the overall picture. We have the complete picture of the law. So actually often we can see where things aren't quite right. And in fact, we think a bit like the way I think system designers think. The logic has to be perfect. So the law has to be perfect in its logic, and so does the system. And I think we actually can help quite a lot with that.
I think that one of the key points that we took away, as Bridget has referred to, is about being there at the right time, making sure that you are there when the right discussion is happening, being in the room at the right time. And that, I think, is quite crucial to making sure that the right outcome happens, that what the journey that's being built is the right one for the legal position. And the other is about building those relationships, building the team relationships. And I think, do you think that's right, Bridget?
I do. I think it's been hugely important, and actually one of the more satisfying parts of it as well. That I think knowing that people will tell you if something doesn't feel right, and that just helps hugely with making sure you have input at the right time. And I've worked for about 25 years on social security law, but actually through this project I've learned so much more about what the real challenges are of delivering complex legislation, and I think I just have far more insight into that. And in the end, what matters is whether it works, and I think this way of doing things is far more likely to produce the outcome that really works for people.
I think that's right. I think actually we've embraced digital in some ways. Actually, things have really, within legal, not just in our team but elsewhere, we are really trying to work now with the multidisciplinary teams to understand what it is that the teams need from us and give them the best advice that we can for those thinking about the user need. So it has been a bit of a journey, but it's been exciting, and I think there's lots that we can contribute as lawyers to the team, not only from the purely legal sense, but just making sure that what is out there is right for the user. And I would recommend working with a digital project.
No, I fully endorse that. I think and it's a lot of fun.
It is. It's a lot of fun. It's different. It's eye-opening. It's the way of the future, isn't it?